Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. X-Plane 12 on its way. More on this in just a minute. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. Okay, the big news. Laminar Research provides X-Plane 12 development update. Public early access starts for X-Plane 12. Now, this is going to be coming very, very quickly, is what it sounds like. There has been a ton of information. We have a price point, $59.99 for X-Plane 12, which goes in hand with what we've seen. Goes in hand with Microsoft Flight Simulator, goes in hand with X-Plane 11. That's pretty consistent, so I'm not too concerned about the cost at all. And honestly, X-Plane 11 being the amazing platform that it is, was, whichever verbiage you want to use, X-Plane 11 still shines in many, many categories. The third-party development, overall flight models, weather performance of the environment. X-Plane 11 still has a lot of weight over Microsoft Flight Simulator. For me personally, Microsoft Flight Simulator dominates in only two sections. One, the satellite photogrammetry, being able to go anywhere in the world natively in the game and get relatively decent image quality and realistic positioning of where things were. Now, it's funny, I was just talking about this on a stream today. As far as I can tell, the satellite imagery in Microsoft Flight Simulator is at least 10 years old, based on placement of things, objects that were there and not there currently, things of that nature. So, but it's still a game breaker, right? And then, of course, obviously the graphics quality. The graphics engine in Microsoft Flight Simulator, in my opinion, far surpasses X-Plane 11. Now, X-Plane 11 has a lot of third-party add-ons and things like that that can make the game pretty close. Definitely, at least in the battlefield of Microsoft Flight Simulator. But when it comes to just about everything else, stability, like I said, third-party applications and add-ons and aircraft and the aircraft list and available developers, X-Plane 11 takes the pie. So, reason why I bring this up, X-Plane 12, what does that mean for flight simulation and Microsoft Flight Simulator as it's clearly getting ready to come around the corner? X-Plane 12 is going to bring all kinds of absolutely wonderful features that we have appreciated in X-Plane 11 back to the flight simulation experience. And as you can see from many of these screenshots, look at this water. This water looks absolutely fantastic. That is beautiful water. Now, the thing that I wish they would talk about more and that I really can't find a whole lot of information is, it says at present, as far as world features and global scenery. The thing that caught my attention was, in terms of what is left to do, the team are working on implementing geographically aware watercolors. But you really didn't see anything. Oh, here we go. Snow and rain and snow shaders for airports and global scenery is complete. But what does that mean as far as the scenery? What is the scenery? There was one other one that caught my attention, and we'll talk. Oh, there it is. The Orthophoto Capability. So does that mean that we are going to have the option, just like we did before, of injecting real-world satellite imagery, or is it going to be something that's a native option within the simulator, much like we see with Microsoft Flight Simulator? Now, I know that Microsoft Flight Simulator was able to do what it does because Microsoft owns Bing. So, when you already have the satellites and you already have access to that imagery, it makes it pretty easy and affordable, cost-effective to put it into your simulator. I'm not going to hold Laminar responsible if that's not something that they are able to do, because it really does require a lot. Now, I was really hoping to see something, a line about, hey, we've teamed up with Google Maps and, we're going to be having satellite imagery in X-Plane 12. I'm hoping for something along those lines. And the only reason why is you could get satellite imagery in X-Plane 11, but getting the 3D building effect and the overall process of bringing 3D satellite imagery into X-Plane 11 was, well, to be quite frank, it was a pain in the backside. It was definitely not an easy process, and it required a ton of hard drive space. Typically you would always store all of your terrain tiles on like an external hard drive or a mass storage device, because the depending on how crazy you got with it, it got massive, and it got massive fast. But with that being said, there's a lot of really awesome information there. The airport element of X-Plane 12 appears fairly complete. Animated jetways are ready. Ground crew, as our new ground vehicles, and FMOD sounds. The sounds through FMOD that was available in X-Plane 11 was always pretty spectacular. Forgive me, guys. I have the freaking hiccups, and I've been trying for an hour to get rid of them, and I just can't. Anyway, I digress. X-Plane 11, this is, again, going to be one of those areas where I'm really excited to see X-Plane 12 coming down the line. Various new aircraft, the SR-22, R-22, Citation X, the RV-12, the PA-18, the F-14, I really don't care. I even today in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm not one for the fast movers in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm just not. I find more enjoyment if I want to fly those. I'm a DCS World pilot as well, so when I want to fly the Tomcat, the Eagle, etc., whatever it may be, I jump over into DCS World, and you can just tool around, or I go and do some combat stuff. So it really depends. But anyway, I digress again. And then finally, there is news that the A330 is complete, but Laminar Research is working on a custom Airbus FMS. So very awesome on that aspect, because what that tells me is that they are, I'm not expecting study level, and it's always dangerous using that terminology. So let's call it high fidelity, right? I'm not expecting a high fidelity A330. I'm not expecting a fully modeled cockpit, fully feature rich cockpit. But the fact that we're getting a custom Airbus FMS could be a really good thing, because that tells me that hopefully the MCDU will be complete, that hopefully the MCDU will be feature rich. Feature rich? Nice. So good stuff about the A330. And the other thing that I really enjoy is, again, you have the X-Plane community. It comes back to the Zibo, right? The Zibo 737 is by far the elite of the free aircraft modifications. It is an absolutely amazing 737 rendition. I think it's a 737-800 if memory serves. I guess my only concern about the A330 is, I think this has to do with Microsoft Flight Simulator, is I'm going to be honest, a little burnt out with the Airbus. It'd be kind of nice if we get back onto the Boeing side of things, but that's totally good. That's going to be preference, right? We all have our preference of aircraft, and I enjoy them both. It's just, I think that was one of the biggest things that I missed in X-Plane or in Microsoft Flight Simulator was our Boeing 737, and specifically mentioning the Zibo. So still really cool. The A330 is an aircraft. It's a larger aircraft. So at the same token, it is nice to see them stepping away from the smaller of the commercial jets. It is kind of nice to not see a 737 or the A320, but going something bigger like the A330. So, there's still a lot of things to be very happy about there. The A330 that we have right now for Microsoft Flight Simulator is a fun aircraft. It's kind of fun seeing the larger aircraft sitting at the gate. And that's a big freaking plane. So really cool. Weather engine is largely complete, in quotations. Real-world weather is injected along with rain and snow accumulation. New 3D volumetric clouds are also ready to go. Now, I do like that they emphasize on the clouds that there's still much more work that needs to be done, and that they have to fix a few issues that have arisen with it. What I am digging on is the ATC. I've always thought that the default ATC within X-Plane 11 was actually pretty good. In my opinion, definitely better than that of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, the ATC UI, I don't know whether that means it's just the user interface as we're seeing here, whether it be for VR or desktop users, or if they've actually completely rebuilt the ATC and giving us something that's even more realistically sounding and having that, what's the word I'm looking for? The phraseology correct. So excited to see what that looks like. The screenshots here from X-Plane 12 look beautiful, and I'm going to tell you right now, it would take a lot for me to be disappointed in X-Plane 12. And I think it would take a lot for me to not be willing to really dedicate a lot of the energy back towards the X-Plane series. And that's not necessarily, I know it's going to sound like I'm trying to shoot down Asobo and Microsoft, but I'm really not. It's just, I do feel that at this stage, we're now 3 years out almost, 2.5 years out, if you will, that, is it 2.5 years? What year are we? 2022. Okay, so we're coming up on 2 years. I apologize. Coming up on 2 years. I still feel that the simulator should be in better condition than what it is. You know, I am one of those ones who is a little disappointed at the progression rate of the simulator and how long so many issues have been about. So to see Laminar coming back in the game with X-Plane 12 is really exciting for me. And I'm really hoping that it meets up to the standards that in many ways Microsoft Flight Simulator has laid down. Microsoft Flight Simulator did change the game. They did change the bar. They absolutely rose the bar with the graphics quality. They absolutely rose the bar with the scenery, as we discussed previously. And it opened the doors for many other different developers. And as the SDK does grow and new APIs do become available, it is becoming more and more of a competitor. And so I'm really hoping that X-Plane 12 brings all of those amazing features that it had in X-Plane 11 and, you know, steps up the game quite a bit more. The screenshots, like I said, that we have seen for X-Plane 12, you know, I'm hoping this isn't like a hangar view. I'm hoping this is an actual live gameplay view. But if it is, that's a really nice jump. And I think it's going to make a huge difference in the way that X-Plane 12 is perceived. Here, you know, everything looks really nice. The background scenery looks fantastic. Some of the trees, again, you have some of that old X-Plane 11 look that has me a little concerned, but it's also really hard to tell with these kind of screenshots. So that's just taking that into consideration. I personally am really, really excited. And as soon as it goes on early access sale, I will absolutely be grabbing it, installing it, and definitely bringing it up to here on the channel. But I wanted to share this information with you guys and let you know that it's on the road. So the cool thing is that when it does go into early access, it's going to be available for both Steam and just digital download. If you are waiting for the physical DVD discs, you will have to wait until the initial or the full release actually takes place. So that's mentioned here in this last line of the paragraph here. But $59.99 gets you right in. The other cool thing is if you are not previously an X-Plane 11 owner, purchasing X-Plane 12 gives you access to X-Plane 11 as well. So that's kind of a neat little bonus for those of you who don't already have XP11. Now, I'm not going to lie, I kind of was hoping to read something about a discount to those who are already X-Plane 11 owners, but that's just me being stingy. I totally understand it. Again, I'm not judging Laminar for that. It was just one of those things that I was sort of hoping to read, but that's all right. That's all right. You know, there is that fear factor again as well. Like there's that little part of me that goes, well, what if X-Plane 12 is truly better? What if it blows Microsoft Flight Simulator out of the way? And then, you know, at first you're excited. And then the next thing that comes into my mind is, oh my gosh, all the money that I've spent on Microsoft Flight Simulator, you know, it goes right down the drain, because the reality is if X-Plane 12 captures the scenery, and what I mean is by the flight sim community, I should say, if it captures it by storm like it did with X-Plane 11, all those aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator are going to get a lot of dust on the wings. So it's one of those, like, you hope it really kicks butt, and at the same token, you hope it doesn't kick too much butt where you stop flying the other one. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Definitely going to be looking at getting some larger hard drives again, and I've already got 4 terabytes in this thing, so it's going to be an interesting time for flight simulation here in the next few months. So super excited about this. Let me know what you guys think and where you stand. What are your plans when X-Plane 12 comes out? I would love to hear from you guys down below. As always, guys, stay safe and healthy, and I will see you in the next one.